Hello, welcome to Football Encyclopedia. This is the home of global football. My name is Alexander Ojimba, and the topic for today is where is the statue of George Weah at AC Milan? Where is the statue of George Weah at AC Milan? I've been thinking about this for a long time. So many players have come to Serie A. They've played football. Many Europeans, many Africans in the 80s, as far as I can remember. 90s was probably the best era in Serie A football. But the question still remains, where is the statue of Mr. George Weah at the San Siro Stadium? I think I got a picture of George Weah here. Playing for AC Milan at his time there. I was a big fan, just like any normal, truthful football global fan all over the world would be. That's George Weah celebrating a goal after scoring for the Rossoneri in the San Siro Stadium in Italia football. Which brings me back to the question again, where is the statue of the great George Weah at AC Milan, at AC Milan's San Siro Stadium? As far back as I can remember, as far back as I am concerned, I take myself back into, I think 1987 it was. Something like that. I think I was still in secondary school in Nigeria. And I saw this big headline in the newspaper, probably National Concord in Nigeria, maybe Nigerian Statesman, Daily Times or whatever. George Weah says that even if Iwanyawo National played 3 Andrew Uwes, he said he will score a hat-trick against Iwanyawo National in the WAFU Cup, West African Football Union Cup, in 87. And I was thinking to myself, what kind of footballer will make such a statement? Because Andrew Uwe was one of the best central defenders in Nigeria at the time. So I began to do my research on who George Weah was. And I realized that George Weah was playing for a team in Cameroon. Is it Tornere they call them or something like that? In the 80s, and he's a striker, and he said he's going to score a hat-trick against Iwanyawo National. And not only did George Weah fulfill his words, he did, and he proved what a great striker he was. Number 2 is, why would a man from Liberia, a footballer from Liberia, be playing professional football in Cameroon? It also told me, or it also made me realize that this man has probably got something special as a footballer for such a feat to take place. But basically, all I'm saying is that's when George Weah came into my mind. That's when I began to realize there's a footballer called George Weah in 87. And before I knew it, I was even hearing that the ex-Arsenal FC football boss, Arsene Wenger, took George Weah to Monaco FC in France. And that is a big deal because if you look at the French league today, I will say probably 40 to 50% of League One, the French elite league, are black players. But probably back in 87, when George Weah went there to the French league as a striker, maybe there were not even over 15 black players in the French elite League One league. So for George Weah to be transferred from that Cameroon team in 1987 to the French League One Football Club Monaco in 1987, that is a massive achievement within itself. So credit to Arsene Wenger for having the vision of noticing a great player, a great striker that was playing his football in Cameroon, in Africa. That's a point made. The topic for today, don't forget, is where is the George Weah statue at AC Milan? I'm still wondering myself, where's that statue? So not only did George Weah play for Monaco, that's a picture of a young George Weah, probably in the 80s or maybe early 90s, displaying his skills in the French league as a Monaco player. But at this point, one thing is for sure, George Weah never knew that he was going to end up playing for AC Milan or becoming one of the best strikers in the world. That's to go and show you, if you're a young player today, you must keep on persevering because you don't know where the tide will take you to. So yeah, that was a picture of young George Weah playing for Monaco in the late 80s. And then George Weah, obviously, because he played some outstanding football for Monaco, and obviously football agents and football scouts, they were very much interested and they wanted to make money out of George Weah's amazing talents. Then stepped in the French giants, Paris Saint-Germain. And boy, did George Weah prove himself at Paris Saint-Germain. George Weah is probably one of the best strikers to ever play for Paris Saint-Germain. So here you can see George Weah is becoming an elite name, feared by defenders all over Europe. That's basically my point. So George Weah, not only did he have dribbling skills to go past defenders, George Weah also had speed and trickery to arrive in front of the goal post and score a goal. So as far as I'm concerned, George Weah George Weah is a great attacking striker that also lives for goals. He brought joy to fans all over the world. What kind of goals doesn't George Weah score? He scores them all. Headers. He's a special player, as you can see. And one of the amazing things about George Weah is he played internationally for a small country called Liberia. So in terms of world football, World Cups, Liberia's name is never there. But that didn't stop George Weah from achieving the goals that he set for himself. Then came the biggest transfer of George Weah's life. So from PSG to AC Milan in the 90s, mid-90s, and the rest, like they say, is history. So George Weah played his best football at AC Milan. He played with some of the world's best players at AC Milan. And at AC Milan, as we all know, George Weah scored the goal of the century in professional club football history. So you're talking about great goals in world football. You have to mention Maradona against England in 1986. But that goal that George Weah scored in Serie A for AC Milan, so taking the ball from his own box and dribbling into the oppositional box and scoring a goal single-handedly, that's exactly the goal that made George Weah stand out from the rest. I'm telling you. That is a goal that will never be forgotten. And that is a goal that probably made George Weah the player that he became. George Weah, obviously, is one of the greatest black players to ever play the game. I'm telling you, you want to talk about some great black players to play the game? None is bigger than King Pele, the late King Pele of Brazil. I say it again, none is bigger than the late, great King Pele of Brazil. So you mentioned George Weah, you have to mention King Pele also, in terms of great players that have played in world football. The name of King Pele keeps on coming to me, I don't know why. But like I'm saying, George Weah, obviously, is a great player in his own right. But King Pele is the greatest of them all. That's my word. King Pele is the greatest of them all. That's my word. But the topic for today is still, where is the statue of George Weah? At AC Milan. Where's that statue? George Weah's statue has got to be standing in front of the San Siro Stadium. So when people visit Milan or they go to watch an AC Milan game, that statue will remind them that there was a great player that came from Africa, a black man. So when all these tourists go to AC Milan, they're looking at the statue, they say, okay, they're going to read the history of George Weah. Who's this black man that came from Africa? And he achieved all these things. You understand? I would even say George Weah, I don't know if this is the right thing to say or not, but I would say George Weah is the best player to ever play for AC Milan. And the only player that comes to my mind when it comes to the best attacking player for AC Milan, I can only think of Ruud Gullit. So it's between Ruud Gullit and George Weah. And never forget, for George Weah to score all those amazing goals for AC Milan, he played with probably Italy's greatest player again, Roberto Divine Ponytail Baggio. So what a formidable partnership that the two of them formed for AC Milan. And they scored a lot of great goals together because they had a great mutual understanding. Never forget, George Weah won the Ballon d'Or when he was playing for AC Milan. Yeah. George Weah won the Ballon d'Or playing for AC Milan. And George Weah is the only African player to have won the Ballon d'Or, world's best player. What a great achievement. So the topic for today has been, where is the statue of Mr. George Opong Weah? You've been watching Football Encyclopedia. This is the home of global football. Cheers. Yeah. All right, take it easy.